a normal and natural emotional reaction to loss or change of any kind. The feelings caused by the end of or change in a familiar pattern or behavior. Grief. Everyone has experienced it in some facet. We've all failed that important test, been rejected from our dream school or job, or even lost that friend or family member. And just as there are various reasons we grieve, there are many methods in which we cope. The story of AnoHana places us in the midst of the Super Peace Busters, a group of childhood friends struggling to deal with the tragic death of one of their own. Since Menma's death, the group is splintered and are no longer the tight-knit group of the past. Each of them has their own agenda and has grieved in their own way. Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. These are the 5 stages of grief. Throughout the show, Tsuruko is shown to be a very analytical character. She is presented as a meticulous worker while being critical of those around her. She is very much a character who is grounded in reality, and that makes her the perfect representation for the denial stage of grief. The phrase, "this can't be happening," is what comes to mind when I think about people in denial. They would think, oh, Menma can't be dead, this can't be happening. But that isn't where Tsuruko's denial lies. Her denial resides inside of herself. She denies her feelings, she denies her emotions, she denies her need to grieve. Her analytical nature acknowledges that Menma is dead. What good could grieving actually produce? Grieving doesn't change the facts. She was stuck right in the middle of unrequited love. Her love interest, Yukiatsu, was still in love with Menma. Grieving wouldn't bring her friend back, and accepting plus admitting her feelings wouldn't make Yukiatsu love her. Her denial served as a self-defense mechanism. She locks herself in a state of denial because she doesn't want to get hurt any more than she already has been.
お前、あれ言いふらすのはなしだろ。さすがに俺も。俺にも見せろよ。いるんだろ、メンマ。だったら俺にも見せてみろよ。やめろよ、ユキヤツ。
On the outside, Yukiatsu appeared to be one who had gotten past Menma's death the most, but it was all a smokescreen. Internally, he harbored a great hatred towards himself and his rival in love, Jintan. First and foremost, Yukiatsu was never able to release the anger he felt for himself. He blamed himself heavily for Menma's death, and that angered him. In his mind, he was responsible for killing his childhood love interest, despite the fact that it was a complete accident. Equal to his anger at himself was his anger towards Jintan. It was no secret among the Peace Busters that Menma liked Jintan. This ignited the flames of jealousy and anger inside of Yukiatsu. Why doesn't she like me instead? I'm better than him. A sentiment he continued to harbor after Menma's ghost is only visible to Jintan. Why is he the only one that can see her? Yukiatsu's anger towards Jintan is so deep that they've almost come to blows numerous times. His anger even drove him down the path of cross-dressing as Menma, partly to try to cope with his pain, and partly to prove to Jintan that he wasn't the only special one. He wasn't the only one who could see Menma, but Yukiatsu's anger alone wasn't enough to heal his pain.
お前のせいなんかじゃねえよ。つか俺のせいだって言ってんだろうが。
やどみ？やっぱ帰るの？ねえねえ、今のってもしかして。捨て台詞ってやつ？嘘。
Anaru is shown to be a character who cares a lot about her childhood friends. She is clearly sad about them drifting apart and the events that happened. Her grief festers in the form of bargaining. Anaru's entire existence has morphed. Rather than being able to express her individuality, she is constantly catering to the lifestyle that her new high school friends live. She's trying to bargain with her pain. She fears that if she doesn't follow her friend's lifestyle, they will not return companionship. So by adapting this lifestyle, her friends will accept her. She won't be alone. She will have a distraction from the loss that she has suffered. She bargained whatever she could to try and fill the hole in her chest, but it wasn't enough.
多分周りに流されちゃう私のこと 叱ってほしかった。
これでよくわかったろ。みんな変わっちまったんだ。いや、一番変わっちまったのは俺。
As a kid, Jintan was the hyperactive, gung-ho leader of the Super Peace Busters. He would lead his friends into all kinds of adventures, but that is not the Jintan we see throughout the majority of the show. Depression had a firm grip over his existence. He had given up going to school entirely and become a shut-in. Lounging around all day and playing video games had become a daily occurrence. Even his friend Anru bringing him his homework and showing some concern for him wasn't enough to help. Jintan's depression had him stuck in a rut. For Jintan, he had lost everything. His loyal friends, their belief in him, his belief in himself, his mother, and his childhood love. He felt like he had nothing left. He felt he had nothing to push him forward. The energetic kid had devolved into a depressed teen who tried to avoid social interaction as often as he could, even going so far as to try and alter his regular appearance to try and remain incognito to those who knew him.
お前といると嫌なこととか思い出してイライラすんだよ。それって蘇りみたいじゃん。すげえよ。メンマが願い叶えてもらうために帰ってくるなんて。
From the jump, you can see that Popo is a very go-with-the-flow kind of guy. He's a bit out there, and I'm sure some would call him weird. But it's clear from the start that he embodies the acceptance stage of grief. From his first reunion with Jintan, we learned that Popo has dropped out of school as well. But he's the polar opposite of Jintan. Rather than locking himself in his room, he has been traveling the world, learning new things along the way. From that alone, we get a view into Popo's acceptant nature. He accepted that, hey, school isn't for me. And he bettered himself with knowledge from around the world. Popo was the first one to accept that Jintan can really see Menma's ghost, and he barely even questions it. Popo has shown that he is ready to accept what the world throws at him and take it in stride.
すげえよメンマ。
The Super Peace Busters all grieved, and in their own ways. And though it took them a while, their grieving was able to help them heal from their loss.